Hi guys, so I'm going to show you around some of the tools we're going to be using. And so we're starting with Visual Studio Code. So you need to type code.visualstudio.com. Depending on what you're using, you'd see either download for Windows or download for Mac. I'm using a Mac OS, so that's why this is showing this. You can see Windows, and so you can click install to install it. This is basically the stable build, which means it's the updates or that is stable, right? So what is Visual Studio Code? It's free, it's built in open source, runs on everywhere, right? Runs everywhere. So it's a text editor to build websites. So think about websites as what you're seeing on your screen. So this entire website must have been built using a text editor, right? So to do that, you just hit download. I already have it, so it would say thank you for downloading and start a download. But because I already have it, I'll stop it, right? So I'm going to stop it. And when you're done downloading, click on it to install and follow the prompt. And make sure that there's a button that says add to paths, right? But just keep installing. And when you're done installing, it should appear like this, right? It should be like this. So this is basically what Visual Studio Code looks like. Don't be confused and don't get overwhelmed with what it looks like. I'm going to walk you through the process. And think about it as just like your typical Microsoft Word document. I mean, it's just a dark theme. You can change the theme if you want, but think about it as just how to type in Microsoft Word, for instance, right? So it has file. You can do terminal. So basically, if you want to create a new file, you can just do file, new file, right? Just like how you create a new document in Microsoft Word. So you could do that, or you can just click here. It would show you all the folders that you already have. But for now, we can just do file, new file, right? And then you can start typing your code here. And you can save it, just like how you work with Microsoft Word, and do save as. If it was HTML, you save as whatever you want, .html. So basically, that is Visual Studio Code. So it has the file system. And I normally would, ideally, what I always suggest is to create a folder first before you open anything in Visual Studio Code. So what I mean is, if you go to Finder, and this is document, right? If I create a new folder and I call it Telegram, yeah, and if this is what I want to use to work with Visual Studio Code, I can just drag it. Yeah, sorry about that. That's not what I'm looking for. So I can just drag this. Yeah. So I can just drag this there. So I can just drag it. All you need to do is just drag it to Visual Studio Code. It would automatically open that, right? So we have this folder open in Visual Studio Code. So now I have a completely different look, right? So this is file, to create a new file, and this is to create a new folder. Basically, and you can refresh the Explorer this way, right? So if you're creating a new file, let's say we're creating a new file, here we can do it and say index. We're going to details later, but this is just how to create a new file. Index.html, it would open up a new file here, right? So that's the file structure of Visual Studio Code. One other thing I would show you is extensions. We'll go into all the other details later. And so extensions is basically, think about it that like you have a boilerplate, you have a basic template, but you want to be able to do something more advanced. You want the template, the Visual Studio Code to do more. You want to give it like superpowers, right? Think about it, you want to give your Visual Studio Code superpower. So for different languages, you can install things that allow you to connect to that language. But I don't want to bore you too much. But basically, that's what extensions are for. So when we start working with extensions with Visual Studio Code, I'll bring you back here. But for now, hopefully you're able to install Visual Studio Code by going to code.visualstudio.com. But the file structure looks like this. And this is file. If you're creating a new file, if you're creating a new folder, it's basically that, right? So if this folder is called HTML, that's a folder. And now I can create a file inside the folder and say new.html just right here without having to do file, save as, yeah, HTML. So that's basically working with Visual Studio Code. The second thing I showed you was Discord. I mean, the second tool we're going to be using is Discord, but I'm going to stop this video so that they are short and simple. So I'll see you in the next video where I'll show you how to install Discord and work with Discord basically. All right, guys. See you.